The following clips all come from the same household, a Spanish-speaking woman who, at this point, seems less frightened by what's happening around her and more genuinely fed up with it. The activity has been building for a while, and she's started filming it, which is both brave and telling, because what she's been capturing is hard to dismiss. In the first clip, she's up late at night waiting for bread to rise when she starts hearing noises coming from the living room. She films herself, announces she's alone, walks through to show the empty room, and then turns back toward the kitchen. Watch.
Esperando a que leo del pan, pero se empezaron a escuchar ruidos en la parte del living. Y estoy sola. No hay nadie. Miren. Literalmente no. Qué pesado, hermano. Qué ganas de romper las bolas que tiene. No, es muy rompebolas.
The metal kitchen utensils, hanging from the rack above the counter, are swinging on their own. Spatulas, a large spoon, scissors, all of them clanking and hitting each other in a rhythmic pattern, with nobody near them. Her reaction isn't screaming. She sounds annoyed, like this has happened before, and she's running out of patience for it. That kind of exasperated tone is actually one of the more telling details here, because it suggests she's moved past the fear stage entirely. Many who followed cases like this point to that shift, from terror to frustration, as a sign that the activity has been going on long enough to feel almost routine. Some believe this type of poltergeist behavior, objects moving in the kitchen specifically, is connected to residual emotional energy, the idea that strong feelings tied to a space over time can build up and manifest physically. Others are more skeptical and would argue air pressure from an opened window or a distant vibration could set hanging utensils in motion, though explaining all of them swinging at once is a harder sell. Not long after, she and a companion return home one night from what she describes as a session, some kind of spiritual gathering, to find something waiting for them. Watch.
Llegamos a la sesión y en la pieza, la cual estaba apagada, está las luces LED prendidas y no sé si alcanzan ver esa silueta, sombra, no sé qué carajo es, pero hay alguien parado en la pieza y estamos literalmente nosotros dos acá. Estamos los dos acá, no hay chance de que alguien esté en la pieza, porque no hay nadie en la casa. No me parece casualidad que lo esté haciendo después de salir de la sesión. Igual la chica me dijo que esto podía pasar. Miren, para que vean que de verdad no hay nadie, subimos lo más rápido que pudimos y no hay nadie en la casa. No, encima miren, el control está en la cama. No, qué bronca. Y ni siquiera lo puedo apagar.
Looking up at the building from the street, one window on an upper floor is glowing a solid red, and inside it, a dark head and shoulders silhouette is visible. But according to her, they're both standing outside on the street, and no one else has a key. There's another detail that many viewers missed on their first watch. Near the lower portion of the illuminated window, a much smaller figure, roughly the size of a young child or baby, appears to be present as well. When she switches on a light while continuing to film, the smaller shape briefly becomes reflected in the window, making it appear even more defined before disappearing into the glare. Whether those silhouettes were nothing more than reflections layered across the window, or whether someone, or something, was already inside the apartment waiting for them, is a question the footage never answers. In the next clip, she's in her bedroom during the day, starting to talk into her phone, when something off-camera catches her attention and she stops mid-sentence. Listen closely.
Buenas, ¿Qué hincha huevo? ¿Qué es, por favor? No, qué rompebola.
The bedroom door, which had been fully open, slams shut on its own with serious force, while she's standing in the next room watching it. No one is near it. Same house, same woman, same reaction. It's almost like she's dealing with a recurring presence that knows how to get on her nerves. That pattern of minor but deliberate disturbances, things chosen for their noise or their disruption, rather than their danger, lines up with what's often described as low-level intelligent haunting, activity that's reactive rather than random. The bedroom activity doesn't stop there. A static camera left on overnight in the same room, this time with another person in the bed, catches two separate things happening without anyone noticing. Watch closely.
Llegar como que ya con eso. No, me dice, mira, esto es algo serio, tengo que hacerlo. Bueno, adivina dónde terminó yendo. Claro. A mi casa, porque obviamente que al garchadero yo, mira, mis ángeles guías en el garchadero, no.
No pasó, no, está bien. Y ahora, bueno, como a mí no me puedo hacer rezos la media hora, a estar rezando.
Claro, en el garchadero. No.
Bueno, que es el espacio de mi casa, el espacio devocional.
No, pero escúchame, porque el garchadero es así.
Sí, pero es comodísimo, tiene una cama, tiene todo lo que se necesita. Se puede acostar. Lo que no se puede.
If you focus on the mirror, what appears to be a dark figure briefly passes through the reflection before disappearing. No one in the room reacts, and there's nothing visible in the bedroom itself that clearly accounts for the movement. The mirror immediately became the center of the discussion. In many paranormal traditions, mirrors are believed to be more than ordinary household objects. Folklore from several cultures describes them as symbolic gateways or bridges through which spirits or negative entities can manifest. For that reason, some spiritual practitioners specifically advise against placing mirrors directly opposite or in front of a bed, believing they can encourage unwanted paranormal activity. Some even warn that simply covering a mirror isn't enough, claiming that whatever is attached to it could uncover the covering or continue to use it regardless. There is, however, no scientific evidence supporting these beliefs, and many people regard them purely as cultural folklore. But according to the person sharing these clips, that wasn't the only time something appeared in the room. On another night, the same bedroom is once again being recorded by a static camera while she sleeps peacefully, completely unaware that anything unusual is happening. Watch. A tall, dark, clearly defined head and shoulders silhouette appears in the glass of the bedroom window, leaning into view from the right edge of the pane and holding its position while the person in the bed sleeps completely unaware. It's darker than any ambient reflection in the room, and it has a shape that's unmistakably human. Whether that figure is a trick of light, someone outside, or something else entirely, what's harder to ignore is that across all of these clips, the same home, the same woman, the same building irritation, whatever is in that space appears to be sticking around. But the bigger question isn't just what that reflection is, it's whether any of this is going to stop. Now in this next clip, a woman in Florida is home alone on what looks like an ordinary afternoon. Daylight streaming through the windows, her little dog Tula sitting calmly on the stairs, when she starts hearing something she can't explain. A music box melody, high-pitched and tinkling, playing clearly from somewhere inside the house. No one else is home. She picks up her phone and starts moving through the hallway, searching. Listen closely.
I'm home by myself. No, I don't think so. Tula, what was that? Oh, no. No, because I'm about to sit on the porch still calling it. Absolutely not.
The music plays for nearly half a minute before cutting off mid-melody, not fading, not winding down, just stopping. And that alone is unsettling. She checks every corner of the room, asks her dog Tula what it was, finds nothing that could account for it. No toy, no device, nothing. Music boxes aren't supposed to start on their own. And they're not supposed to stop like that either, mid-note, as if something decided it was done. Some viewers think a spirit was making itself known, drawn to the familiar comfort of a child's melody. Others suggest an attachment to the holiday decorations or the home itself. She doesn't wait around to find out. By the end of the clip, she's already unlocking the front door. So what do you think was playing that music, and why did it stop the second she got close enough to find it? Now in this next video, a couple say they've been hearing something that makes no sense at all. The sound of a baby crying coming from inside their apartment. Not outside, not through the walls, but from somewhere within their own home. It starts suddenly, continues for a few seconds, and then stops completely. And the strangest part is, it happens every single night. Watch this.
Hey. Yeah? Did you hear baby crying? No, I just opened the door. Oh, I thought that's why you opened the door. I heard it crying a long time in here.
According to the husband, Austin, the cry lasted longer that night than it ever had before. They checked every room and every corner, but found nothing. If it were a neighbor's baby, they would have recognized the direction, but each time, the sound feels contained, like it exists in their space and nowhere else. At first, the couple tried to see it as a positive sign. Some cultures believe hearing a phantom baby cry can symbolize incoming life, a spiritual sign that a child may soon enter the family, but others warn about much darker meanings. In paranormal folklore, disembodied crying, especially of infants, is often associated with entities that mimic vulnerability to draw attention. Spirits that imitate babies are believed to trigger instinctive emotional responses, lowering fear and making people more receptive to their presence. There's also the unsettling connection to stories like La Llorona, an entity known for using the sound of crying children to lure people closer. But what unsettles this couple the most isn't just the crying, it's the fact that it happens at the same time, every single night. So should they see it as a hopeful sign or a warning? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Now in this next clip, two girls, friends by the sound of it, are messing around in a bedroom late at night, trying to climb onto the top bunk the hard way, one standing on the other's shoulders. It's the kind of silly, chaotic moment that gets filmed because it's funny, nothing more. One of them falls, they both end up on the floor in hysterics, and the girl in the red shirt is laughing so hard she can barely breathe. According to her, the video was posted to Facebook as a funny clip and sat there for weeks before anyone noticed anything. Then someone in the comments asked a question that stopped her cold. Watch.
You should be less
Right there, A pale, slender hand with noticeably long fingers reaches out from behind her left shoulder, grips the lower rail of the bunk bed, and then pulls back out of sight. Neither girl reacts. They couldn't have. According to her, neither of them even knew it was there until someone pointed it out weeks later. If you slow it down and watch the moment carefully, there's no angle that puts either girl's arm in that position. Her own left hand is clearly visible and accounted for. Some viewers think it's a third person just out of frame, though the room and camera angle make that difficult to explain. Others go somewhere darker entirely, pointing to the fact that just before the hand appears, she'd been yelling, "Help me," over and over, and something, it seems, may have answered. The following video was recorded by a man who had recently moved into an old house built back in 1912, a property with enough history behind it to already make him uneasy before anything strange even started happening. According to him, the previous tenant had suddenly left without much explanation, and after settling in, he began experiencing odd disturbances throughout the house that pushed him into researching the property's past. During a late-night spirit box session, one word reportedly kept coming through over and over again: fire. After digging deeper, he discovered that the basement of the house had been the site of an accidental fire sometime around 1965, a detail that suddenly made the atmosphere in the home feel a lot heavier. Then one night, while standing in a lit room looking down a dark hallway, he caught this on camera. Watch.
Look, it's my hand.
At the far end of the hallway, a guitar begins to sway on its own, slowly at first, before the movement starts growing stronger. Skeptics pointed toward possible drafts or airflow as the most logical explanation, but what unsettled viewers was how the motion seemed to build, almost like something unseen kept interacting with it. Paranormal theories surrounding old homes often connect fires to lingering energy, especially when the event was sudden or traumatic. Some believe places marked by tragedy can hold on to fragments of that moment for decades, replaying themselves through unexplained sounds, movement, or disturbances tied to certain parts of the house. And considering the repeated mention of fire during the spirit box session, many viewers think whatever is in that hallway may be connected to what happened in the basement all those years ago. Whatever started the movement, he never found the source. In this next clip, someone is walking through a property called the Green Manor, an old house with narrow winding staircases, dark reddish walls, a library with built-in shelves, and an upstairs room lined with antique dolls. And from the moment they point the camera at a teal wooden door in the hallway, something feels off. The door is slightly ajar, and the vintage oval doorknob on its brass backplate just sits there, still and quiet, the way doorknobs are supposed to. But then it starts to move. Watch. The knob jiggles, turns clockwise, and a sharp metallic click rings out as the latch fully disengages and the door swings open on its own. Nobody's on the other side. The person filming then pushes through, climbs the creaking staircase, and when they reach the top, they pan into a side room where a full church pew is lined end to end with at least a dozen porcelain dolls just sitting there, staring. Some people who've seen this footage think the doorknob moment is consistent with what's sometimes called a residual haunting, the idea that a location can essentially record repeated actions, like opening a door, and replay them without any conscious intent behind them. Others think something at the Green Manor is far more aware than that, pointing to the way the latch fully releases, a deliberate mechanical sequence, not just a rattle. Whether it's residual energy or something with intention, you be the judge. In this next clip, a family arrives at what looks like a spacious hotel suite. A large, well-lit room with high vaulted ceilings, a stone fireplace, a loft area, and a balcony with plenty of natural light coming through. Nothing about the space looks threatening, but the moment they reach the doorway of room 24, something happens that none of them were prepared for. Watch.
Come on, Mama!
Oh, she don't like this one. Wasn't expecting that. Dang, Big Mama. Is there something in here? We rebuke it, Kai Kai. We rebuke it. She said, Yeah. Yeah. It's shit on the toilet.
That's where you and Dad sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
I'll get that good.
There's nothing.
What?
Close it. I'll pull out bed. This is so nice.
You welcome. I hope y'all like it. I hope y'all got some energy because we're gonna be up all night.
She immediately starts screaming, no, crying loudly, and pulling away from the room, and she doesn't stop for the entire clip. What makes this so hard to dismiss is that the girl didn't calm down. There's a belief, fairly common in paranormal communities, that young children, especially toddlers, are far more sensitive to presence than adults because they haven't yet learned to rationalize away what they're feeling. You decide what that little girl was sensing at that doorway. Now in this next clip, a man is out in his shed during the day working on tools when he notices something that stops him cold. A sound coming from a dark attic space above a storage closet he says he's never once been up into. He grabs his phone and starts filming himself, panning the camera around the cluttered shed before pulling open a narrow closet door to show what's inside. Listen closely.
Me or not, I don't care, but listen to this. I'm out in the shed working on tools. Listen. Dude, I swear to God, there's something up in this attic, man. I'm not getting up in here and shit. Do you hear that? Dude, oh my God, bro. Oh my God, man. There's something in this neighborhood, dude. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know what to do in a situation like this. Do you hear this shit, man? This thing was built before I bought this house, man. I've never gone up here one time. What the fuck was that, man? There's stuff. left from the previous owner. Oh. Oh my God, dude. Oh.
If you listen closely, you'll hear a baby crying, and it happens not once but multiple times, getting clearer and closer each time. The man's reactions are hard to fake. He slams the door, shouts, opens it again, keeps asking if you can hear it too. Then, when he finally works up the nerve to climb the ladder and hold the camera up into that dark space, the last sound he catches, right before the camera drops, is a clean, unmistakable cry of a baby coming from somewhere deep in that darkness. Some viewers think he has squatters in there, which, honestly, isn't impossible. Whatever was up there, he didn't stick around long enough to find out. So what do you think was making that sound? Now in this next clip, a paranormal investigator from Lakeshore Paranormal is in the basement of an old property at night, standing beneath a single bare bulb that cuts harsh shadows across the cinder block walls and exposed ceiling joists. He's got a spirit box scanning in one hand and what appears to be a detection device in the other, the constant static of the scanner cycling through frequencies filling the silence around him. He glances around the space, listening, waiting. Watch.
Not gonna leave until you give me a sign.
Movement back there. Shadow.
Saw me?
Shadow like came out from the where the heater is and went back the other way. I got it on video. You can see it. It was short. It was just like a shadow that came out from there.
Are you down here?
A shadow moved from right to left. What immediately sparked debate online was the way the figure seemed to move with shape and direction, not like a flicker of light or camera distortion, but like something physically crossing. Some viewers argued it could simply be a reflection caused by someone walking past a nearby window, but according to the investigators, they were completely alone on the property that night, with no one else inside or outside the building during the investigation. So if no one else was on that property that night, then what exactly walked behind him? Now in this next clip, someone is moving through a pitch-black house in the middle of the night, using nothing but a flashlight to cut through the darkness ahead of him. According to him, before he even started recording, he had already been hearing strange noises somewhere deeper inside the house, sounds unusual enough that he decided to grab his camera and trace where they were coming from. At first, he expected to find something simple, maybe a window left open, or an animal moving around inside the walls. But instead, he found this. Watch.
Right. Second date. It's been okay so far, but... What? This is what I mean. Crazy shit. Is it like... Hello? Oh my... Oh shit. Phone's upstairs. Oh my... I couldn't... I'm leaving the lights on. Look at this. I swear to
The lights suddenly begin flickering violently, throwing unstable flashes across the hallway, and just as he turns toward the staircase, something can be seen moving on the stairs, a dark shape shifting in the shadows before disappearing again. Some viewers believe the flickering lights could point toward electrical issues in an older property, but others focused entirely on the figure near the staircase, especially because in many old traditions, spirits or entities were said to linger near staircases because they symbolized movement between worlds, especially in darkened homes where visibility is limited and the human mind struggles to fully process shapes in shadow. So what do you think was waiting at the top of those stairs? The following video was recorded inside a home that's over 100 years old, using an old camera set up by a young man who was home alone and had noticed something he couldn't explain. Every time he left the room to vacuum, he'd come back and find the same bifold closet door standing wide open. No one else in the house, no obvious draft, nothing to account for it. So instead of just closing it again and moving on, he propped the camera on the floor, pointed it at the door, and went back to his vacuuming. The clip is silent, and that silence is part of what makes it so unsettling. Watch. The right panel of that bifold door begins to move, slowly, steadily, swinging open at a pace that feels almost deliberate, folding back until the closet is fully exposed. No one enters the frame, there's no rush of air, no person, no visible string or mechanism. If you watch the door's movement carefully, you'll notice it doesn't jerk or stutter the way a draft might cause. It moves with a kind of even, unhurried intention that's harder to dismiss. Some viewers familiar with residual haunting theory think older homes can develop patterns of repeated activity tied to whatever energy accumulated there over decades. But you be the judge. Now in this next clip, a man had been sitting alone at his kitchen table, reading from the Bible, not casually, but deliberately, the way someone does when they're trying to hold something back. He had a rosary laid out in front of him, a crucifix, and a small bottle of holy water. He says he picks up regularly from his local Catholic church. He mentions to the camera that he isn't feeling well, and before he starts reading, he anoints his forehead with the holy water and makes the sign of the cross. There's a weight to how he's going through these steps. Like a ritual, he's performed enough times that it's become routine rather than ceremonial. He settles in and begins reading aloud from Psalms 37, verses 3 through 11. Scripture about trust, about dwelling safely, about what faith is supposed to protect you from. But midway through the reading, something happened. Watch.
Inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked should be no more. Indeed, you will. Gosh! Holy. Bro. That just closed. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, any demon in my office, evacuate now. Look, that's my magic hat. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and my attic is closed. See? Huh. And it literally dropped my hat. That is crazy. You see, guys, this is what I gotta go through daily. Like literally, daily I gotta go through this crap. I'm so fed up with it.
The door in the background slams shut with a sharp, violent bang. What's harder to dismiss is what he finds on the other side. A baseball cap lying face down on the floor just inside the doorway, which he claims was not there before. He picks it up, shows the camera the front, and says the entity dropped it. He calls his attic door out specifically, showing it's secured with multiple slide locks, as if that detail is meant to explain something he doesn't want to say out loud. He ends the clip looking straight into the camera, exhausted, and says this is what he goes through daily. For those familiar with spiritual warfare theology, a violent physical reaction during scripture reading is considered significant. It's interpreted not as random haunting activity, but as direct interference, a presence responding to being named. So what was in that room with him? The following video was recorded by a family stepping into their new house for the very first time. The father is holding the camera, slowly documenting their first walk through the home as the rest of the family heads inside ahead of him. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary until viewers noticed something that was out of place. Watch.
Okay, got everybody here, heading on into the new house for the first time. They said go, yeah. See how scary? It's kind of scary actually. Oh, look at all this stuff. Dollhouse for you, Salo. Go. Okay. This kitchen's pretty nice.
Ready? I'm gonna go out with Mom.
Go close the door.
If you focus on the mirror by your right, you'll notice what looks like a dark, human-shaped shadow standing directly behind him. The unsettling part is that it can't be one of his daughters. By the time the reflection appears, both girls have already walked past the mirror and are standing farther inside the house. There shouldn't be anyone behind him. But what many viewers found even more disturbing wasn't the shadow. It was the youngest girl. Without anyone prompting her, she repeatedly says, "Scary," over and over again. Some dismissed it as exactly what children do in unfamiliar places. New houses can feel intimidating, especially when they're empty, dimly lit, and full of echoes. Others believe moments like this deserve a closer look. As for the mirror itself, mirrors have long occupied a unique place in supernatural folklore. Some traditions describe them as symbolic thresholds or reflective surfaces where unexplained figures are more likely to appear, while others view them simply as objects capable of creating convincing visual illusions under low lighting. Whether the shadow was a trick of perspective, a reflection the family didn't notice, or something that greeted them before they even unpacked. One detail remains difficult to ignore. Before anyone mentioned seeing a figure, the little girl had already decided there was something about that house she didn't like. The following video was recorded by a man living in what can only be described as a house full of unsettling objects. Mannequins in the hallway, antique dolls, vintage horror movie posters, and at the center of it all, a Victorian dollhouse sitting in his sister's room that he says he genuinely cannot bring himself to look at for too long. He walks through the space at night, narrating as he goes, and you can hear in his voice that this isn't performance, it's discomfort. He's been hearing tapping sounds late at night, specifically when he passes that room on the way to the bathroom, and according to him, the sound stops the moment he enters, except for one night about 3 nights prior, when it kept going. He walked in, tried to find the source, and traced it directly to the dollhouse itself. Watch.
Okay, so the other thing that really creeps me out, that I do not like, but I will show you guys, is in my sister's old room, or I guess still room. Dollhouse. I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can say that has happened with it is sometimes when I walk by, or like I go, the bathroom's back there, and I walk through and I hear like tapping coming from this room. It's like it's like yeah, it's like I know it's coming from like this room, and so I come in here and then it usually stops, except for like maybe 3 nights ago, like the tapping kept happening, and I came over and I was trying to figure out like where it was coming from, but it was coming from this dollhouse and I don't know where, and it hasn't done it since. Like, why is it so intricate? It's like, I don't know. Freaks me out. I'm not showing you guys this again, so take one last look. Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Toward the end of the recording, some viewers also claimed they could hear what sounded like a faint young girl's voice buried beneath the audio. Whether it's genuine audio pareidolia or simply background noise is impossible to say, but combined with the tapping, it only added to the unease. Some viewers also pointed to the collection of dolls visible throughout the house. In parts of West Africa and the Caribbean, handcrafted dolls have historically been associated, rightly or wrongly, with folk magic and spiritual practices. While most are simply decorative or cultural artifacts, their appearance often fuels speculation whenever they're seen alongside alleged paranormal activity. But according to the family, the dollhouse wasn't the only thing making them uneasy. Watch.
Grandson, this is my daughter, Lady Mary Talk. Oh, everyone's going. You as the rest of us in Riviera, but I hope you enjoy yourself. Yes. Oh, really? I've been thinking about it. I went over to America 10 years ago to try my luck, and I've been there ever since. Nearly London. They call us the Hollywood Rise. But you never stopped playing.
Heavy footsteps echo from somewhere inside the house, the kind of impact that sounds as though someone has just put their full weight onto a wooden floor, but there's no visible cause. Nothing falls, nothing moves, nothing in the wide-angle security footage gives her or anyone watching any kind of answer. So what exactly hit that hard? From inside a house, with no one else apparently there, you decide. Now in this next clip, a man who works at what appears to be an industrial facility decided to stay late one night. Not because he had to, but because something about the place kept pulling him back. He'd already noticed things before this recording. His radio had been jumping with static, which he says is usually a sign that something is close, and the temperature in the break room had dropped noticeably enough to stop him in his tracks. He's wearing work gloves, holding his camera, and his voice is raspy and low as he moves through a long fluorescent-lit hallway and into one of the facility's break rooms, a cluttered industrial space with metal lockers, stainless steel countertops, and trash bags piled against the walls. He admits out loud that he's nervous. He can feel something in there with him, and then he notices his Apple Watch.
Whoa. Shit. Just saw my Apple move. Just saw him move. Oh. What do you want? Who are you? Oh. What does this mean? What do you want? Why are you playing games? Why did you attack me the other day? What do you want?
First the apple, then the cup begins moving by itself, while he continues trying to communicate with whatever he believes is around him. To paranormal investigators, this sequence is particularly intriguing because the movement appears to follow direct interaction. In many alleged haunting cases, investigators believe that attempting communication can sometimes trigger a response, especially if the reported activity is associated with an intelligent haunting rather than a residual one. Objects moving shortly after questions are asked are often interpreted as attempts at non-verbal communication, with some researchers suggesting that small, lightweight items are easier for an alleged entity to manipulate than larger objects. Another detail, often mentioned in paranormal circles, is the combination of experiences leading up to the movements. Sudden cold spots, unexplained radio interference, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched are among the most commonly reported claims preceding alleged physical manifestations, although none have been scientifically shown to indicate paranormal activity. But viewers who believe something unusual happened focus on one thing. The apple moves, he starts talking, then the cup moves too. Whether that was a coincidence or something responding to the conversation is exactly what keeps this clip open to debate. This next video comes from a man who says something got into his shed while he was away, and whatever it was, it didn't just leave quietly. He's been filming himself outside at night, shaky camera pointed upward into dark tree branches, voice already strained before he's even made it through the door. According to him, he'd noticed something off when he first pulled up, and by the time he walked inside, what he found had him spiraling. Watch. The CCTV footage shows the shed door closed. Then, across a 5-second gap in the recording, it's sitting open by several inches with nothing on camera to explain it. No figure, no gust, no visible contact. And when he finally walks in and turns the light on, the shed is ransacked. Tools, clothing, and a power sander thrown into disorder. But what frightened him most wasn't the mess. It was what happened when he went back inside for a closer look. Watch. If you look closely, you'll notice what appears to be a pale face peering from inside the shed. Some viewers dismissed it as pareidolia, the brain's tendency to see faces in random shapes, especially in dark, cluttered environments. Others weren't convinced. Across paranormal folklore, one of the most commonly reported experiences is the peeking apparition, an alleged entity that reveals only part of its face from behind a doorway, corner, or object before disappearing again. Paranormal researchers often describe these brief appearances as observational behavior, claiming the figure seems more interested in watching than interacting directly. Whether that's what this camera captured, or whether the face is nothing more than shadow and coincidence. One unsettling question remains: if something really was hiding inside that shed, what was it waiting for him to do next? This next video was recorded by a man filming from what appears to be his backyard at night, a dark, scrub-covered hillside stretching out in front of him. And from the very beginning, something on that hillside has already caught his attention. He's been insisting that whatever this is, it's been following him, not just to one location, but everywhere he goes. And standing there in the dark, camera in hand, you can hear in his voice that he's well past the point of brushing it off. Watch.
I can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the? I can't make this shit up, bro. I can't make this shit up, bro. What the is that? Jesus. Jesus Christ, no. Jesus Christ, no. What? I can't make this shit up, bro.
Out on that hillside, a bright glowing orb sits completely still at first, white-yellow on the outside, but with a distinct purple or violet core pulsing inside it. As he zooms in, that inner light shifts shape, momentarily forming something almost structured, almost like a letter or symbol, before the whole thing begins sliding horizontally to the left, leaving a faint trail behind it. And then, just like that, it vanishes. The hillside goes dark. His reaction says everything, stunned silence, then a rising panic he can barely keep together. Some viewers immediately thought of ball lightning, a rare atmospheric phenomenon that can produce glowing, drifting orbs. But ball lightning doesn't typically hold a distinct internal color or leave shaped impressions. Others pointed to UAP sightings, noting that the pulsing purple core and horizontal drift are consistent with characteristics reported in several well-documented cases. What do you think was on that hillside? This next video was recorded at around 11:30 at night by a woman who had just gotten home and noticed something immediately off. Her bathroom light was on inside the house, even though she was almost certain she'd left it off. She went in, switched it off herself, watched some TV, and thought nothing more of it. Then she stepped outside to check the mail. That's when she stopped. Something made her turn back toward the house and pull out her phone. Watch.
Need to show you what's actually happening right now. Like, this is so creepy. I have no idea. Oh, it stopped. It's been... Like, nobody is in my house, and that should not be happening. And no one believes me when I tell them this kind of stuff.
The bathroom window, visible from the driveway, flickers on, then off, then on again, then dark, with no one inside operating the switch. She's standing right there in the driveway, in the pitch black, telling you directly, nobody is home, and that light should not be doing that. But many viewers noticed something even stranger than the light itself. If you look closely at the window, there appears to be the faint outline of what looks like a young girl standing motionless, facing directly toward the woman filming. The shape doesn't seem to move. It simply watches. Reports of flickering lights are among the most commonly described experiences in alleged hauntings, though faulty wiring, loose switches, and electrical fluctuations remain far more common explanations. The apparent figure in the window has sparked even more debate. Some believe it's nothing more than reflections on the glass or pareidolia, the brain interpreting shadows and patterns as a human face. Others compare it to reports of window watchers, a recurring motif in paranormal accounts where an unexplained figure is said to silently observe people from inside a home without ever approaching. Whether rooted in folklore or coincidence, these reports often describe the figure as remaining perfectly still, creating the unsettling impression that it's watching rather than trying to be seen. So was the flickering light simply an electrical fault? Did the changing light create the illusion of a face? Or was someone or something standing behind that window after all? That's the question this footage leaves unanswered. The following clips come from what appears to be an ongoing series of recordings made inside the same home, a lived-in apartment with children's drawings on the walls, toys scattered on the floor, and a security camera running through the night. According to the person behind the camera, the activity has been escalating across multiple incidents, and he's been documenting each one. In the first clip, he's decided to investigate a disturbance in the dark, despite his wife warning him not to. He gets out of bed, moves through the house with his phone as a light source, checks a wardrobe, finds nothing out of the ordinary, but the security camera feed running in the corner of the frame tells a different story. Watch.
Shh. Let me just check. It's coming from the cupboard. Could you please stop?
According to the family, the knocking had become so common that they eventually started speaking to whatever was causing it. At one point, the husband reportedly asked it politely to stop. Instead of quieting down, the knocking grew louder and more aggressive, leading some viewers to speculate that whatever was behind the sounds seemed to react to being acknowledged. Another night, the disturbances returned. Once again, he woke up to a strange noise and left bed to investigate, expecting another false alarm. Instead, he got the scare of his life. Watch.
This started again. Yalla, go to sleep now. Don't get up. It's almost the same time.
What's harder to shake is the pattern. 2 separate nights, and now they've become so used to it, they even have a name for whatever's been in this house. They call it Jerry. And now the 5-year-old son has started asking about Jerry by name. Listen closely.
Oh my god. Ajay? Kya hai ye? It's just near the door.
Daddy, what is it?
Nothing, but I just go to sleep now, okay?
Is that Jerry?
Shh. I don't know. Just be quiet now.
Hey.
Please, I beg you. Majja. Don't go. Listen to me.
It's okay. Just be quiet.
The scratching is unmistakable, a series of quick taps and scrapes, repeating with that uneven rhythm that's genuinely difficult to attribute to pipes or settling walls. And then the moment the father gets up to check, it stops completely. That detail alone is what gets under people's skin, because an accidental sound doesn't respond to presence. A named entity that a child has come to know casually, that scratches at a door and goes quiet the second someone moves toward it. That's a different kind of unsettling entirely. The 4th clip is silent again, and it documents something more subtle. A lamp with a black and white geometric pattern, filmed on the static security camera in the early hours of the morning, turning on and off by itself in an empty room. Watch.
I just have no words. Let me just show you the video itself. Okay.
When he went back into the room, viewers noticed what appears to be a shadowy figure moving behind him, following his path through the room before disappearing from sight. And then comes what may be the most compelling footage of all. The most extensive footage in this set captures what may be the most direct evidence yet. He's woken up in the night again, this time by the sound of the kitchen tap running. He gets up, finds the tap on, turns it off, and almost immediately hears water running again. The lights in the hallway won't turn on. He notices a child's red scooter near the door that he doesn't remember being there before he slept. And briefly, along a white wall, a faint wispy anomaly rises upward and disappears. Watch. The security camera footage recorded earlier that same night fills in what the first-person view couldn't capture. A dark, translucent shadow figure moves across the living room, pushing the scooter, then walks away as the scooter continues rolling on its own. The figure reappears later, crossing from the hallway into the kitchen, and moments after it enters that space, the sound of the tap turning on begins. That sequence, the figure entering the kitchen, followed immediately by the water, is what a lot of viewers find most difficult to rationalize away. Some believe shadow figures of this kind represent a conscious presence, something with intent rather than residual energy, a distinction that matters because intent implies awareness of the people living there. Others point to the misplaced scooter, the unresponsive light switches, the child who already knows the ghost's name, and suggest that whatever is in this apartment has been making itself comfortable for a while. The family seems to know it. The 5-year-old isn't even scared yet, and that might be the most unnerving detail across all of these clips. Not the blurs, not the lamp, not the shadow pushing a toy across the floor, but the fact that a child has simply accepted it as part of home. Whether this is one presence or several, whether Jerry is a name given to something ancient or something entirely modern, the footage keeps coming, and whatever is in that apartment doesn't appear to be going anywhere. The following clips were both recorded inside what appears to be a large warehouse store, the kind of place that feels completely different after hours, when the shelves are still stocked, but every aisle is empty, and the only sound is the hum of the lights overhead. The man filming had been alone, locked inside a small monitoring room, watching security cameras, when he started hearing something he couldn't explain. He describes it in Spanish, something scratching the walls, coming from somewhere nearby. He insists he doesn't want these things to happen, which tells you this isn't the first time something's felt off in this building. Watch closely.
Raza, estaba yo aquí monitoreando las cámaras en un cuarto encerrado y se escuchó como si alguien estuviera rascando la pared. Ya, no, de verdad, ya no quiero que pasen estas cosas. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué cojones? ¿Qué mierda fue eso?
Two sounds hit him in quick succession, a loud, forceful scraping or thudding against the wall, enough to jolt the camera, and then a sharp knock directly on the metal door. He opens it and steps out into the service corridor, then into the main store, clearly shaken, checking the restroom, checking the hallway, and finding nothing, no one. That alone is unsettling. Some viewers think the sounds are consistent with what's sometimes described as poltergeist activity, not a ghost in the traditional sense, but an energy force said to interact physically with its environment, making contact through noise and impact, rather than appearing visually. Skeptics argue it could be pipes, settling metal, or an animal in the walls, but the knock on the door is harder to dismiss, because it's rhythmic, deliberate, and comes from exactly the right height. He still doesn't have an answer when the second incident happens. This time he's out in the store aisles, pushing his own cart, voice hushed, breathing audible, saying it feels like someone is watching him. Watch.
No sé qué está pasando. Realmente se escuchan ruidos a lo lejos. Está pasando algo muy extraño, no sé qué está pasando. Se siente como si alguien me estuviera observando. No lo sé. No mames.
An empty green shopping cart, sitting completely still in the middle of an aisle stocked with bottled beverages, suddenly rolls forward and to the right on its own, quick, a few feet, then stops. He reacts immediately with a loud, genuine exclamation of shock, and the sound of his own cart wheels rolling fast on the concrete tells you he didn't stick around. What makes this harder to explain is that both events happened in the same building, within what seems like the same shift. Scratching and knocking in the locked room, then a cart moving by itself in an empty aisle. Two separate incidents, two separate forms of physical interaction, and no one else in the building. So what exactly is in that store? This next clip comes from a night investigation inside the ruins of St. Mary's Church in Colston Bassett, Nottinghamshire, a site that traces its origins back to the 12th century and has drawn paranormal investigators for decades, some of whom claim to have encountered demonic activity within its crumbling stone walls. The team is moving through the interior using a handheld camera on night vision, panning slowly across the ancient stonework, when something outside catches the frame. Watch.
Just the same as what it says at the front.
In the right-hand section of a large window opening divided by a central stone pillar, a dark vertical shape appears, moving quickly from right to left, passing behind the pillar and then simply vanishing before it clears the other side. The team insists all members were accounted for at the time. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the kind of repeating imprint that old religious sites are said to hold. Others believe it's something more aware, something that knew the camera was pointed at that window. Either way, it doesn't wait around to be identified. What exactly passed through that window frame? The following videos were captured by a woman who's been documenting what she calls her poltergeist diaries, a series of increasingly unsettling encounters happening at her workplace, an office she now refers to as anything but ordinary. She'd been sharing updates with her followers, building a record of small, creeping strangeness, and in this first clip, she's filming late, alone, moving through the building with her phone out when she notices something down the hallway near the break room. Watch.
So, y'all have been following my polter diaries here lately. So I'm pretty sure there's something standing in the doorway to the break room. Am I crazy? Or is that somebody standing there? Do y'all see that?
The camera peers around the edge of a dark, reflective surface and catches a tall, thin shape standing completely still at the far end of the dimly lit hallway, and her reaction says everything. Her voice drops from calm narration to a terrified whisper before she lets out a raw, piercing scream and the footage cuts off. Whether that shape was a chair, a pedestal, or something else entirely, her scream wasn't performed. Some viewers insisted it was just office furniture catching the light wrong, while others pointed out that the object doesn't have the softened edges or visible legs you'd expect from a chair. It just stands there, occupying the frame like it belongs. That's what makes it hard to dismiss. Not long after that clip circulated, followers began asking whether the lights in that hallway were connected to anything, wondering if she'd somehow triggered them herself. She came back with a direct answer. Watch.
So, since y'all thought I was doing the lights, let me show you these. This one does nothing. This one turns on this extra light. So,
she flips both switches on the wall, one by one, demonstrating clearly that neither controls the bright stationary light glowing in the dark hallway behind her. The fluorescent ceiling lights respond to the second switch, but that orb-like light sits untouched, unchanging, against the dark blue wall. Some viewers immediately suggested it was a security light or an exit sign on a separate circuit, Others weren't convinced, pointing out that the light's intensity and position don't match anything typically mounted in an office corridor, and that she didn't seem to know what it was either, ending the clip with a flat, exhausted "so," as if the demonstration raised more questions than it answered. She'd also mentioned she'd stopped working alone in that building after everything that happened, which brings us to her next update. She returned to the office with a coworker, hoping the company would make whatever was happening stop. Everything had been quiet. Watch.
Hey guys, this is just an update to let you all know that I'm okay. Back at work today, but I'm no longer working by myself. I have someone here with me. Everything's been fine so far. We haven't had anything today, so... And here we go. What was that? What? It came from the hallway. Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
Right in the middle of her calm update, mid-sentence in fact, an explosively loud bang erupts from the hallway, violent and metallic, and both women react instantly. She moves toward the doorway and peers down the long, empty, brightly lit corridor. Nothing, no one, no visible source for a sound that loud. Two people heard the same thing, and neither of them could explain it. Some researchers who study poltergeist activity describe this kind of escalation, from visual anomalies to unexplained sounds, as a pattern of intensifying engagement, as though whatever presence exists in a space begins responding more forcefully when it feels observed. What would you do if the hallway you just cleared came back that loud? Now, in this next clip, a man is moving through his house at night, phone in hand, when the space around him starts doing things that have no easy explanation. It's unclear exactly what brought him to this part of the house, but from the moment he pushes shut a large panel on the wall, something shifts in the energy of the place, and it doesn't stop there. Almost immediately after that panel slams shut with a loud bang, something catches his attention. Watch. A soccer ball rolls across the floor completely on its own. He barely has time to process that before panning down a long, dark hallway where a small, pale figure in a white gown steps out from the corner. The moment he sees it, he hears a high-pitched, distorted child's laugh that sounds just slightly off from anything natural. Many investigators warn that childlike apparitions aren't always what they seem. Some believe darker entities imitate children, because people instinctively lower their guard around them, making the encounter feel less threatening, at least at first. Despite every instinct telling him to leave, he walks toward the figure, which, if you ask most people, is the last thing you should do. When he reaches the first door and tries the handle, it's locked, and the moment he pulls his hand back, a deep, grating, scraping sound erupts from somewhere unseen, and the video cuts off. Across countless paranormal reports, investigators describe this as escalation, subtle movement giving way to visual manifestations, then direct interaction intended to provoke fear or curiosity. Whether that's what happened here is impossible to prove, but one thing is hard to ignore. Whatever was waiting at the end of that hallway never actually came toward him. It got him to come to it. Quick thing before we continue, all of our videos are now available on Spotify too, so if that's somewhere you already find yourself late at night, every compilation we've made is waiting there for you. Whichever way you'd rather watch, the link's in the description. Now back to the video. The following video is about a man who lives on 300 acres of swampland in a place called Dinsmore, land his family bought cheap from a paper mill that operated in the 1800s. Land that he claims was originally stolen from Native Americans and sits directly on top of an old burial ground. According to him, he's not the only one who believes something is wrong out there. He says local police officers will draw straws to avoid responding to calls on the property, and when they do show up, they won't set foot past the property line. That detail alone is hard to shake, but it's what happened to him the previous night that sent him outside in the dark, bare-chested and terrified, phone in hand. He says he walked off the porch to check on the chickens when he heard two things. First, someone calling his name, and then a voice saying, "Help me," from somewhere in the darkness. Watch.
Y'all, I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, "Help me." Hold on. Hold on.
Hey. Help. I need help. Harry, can you help me?
What you hear coming out of that blackness is a clear, disembodied male voice, distinct, intelligible, calling out, "Hey," then "Help," then "I need help," then the name Derek, and finally, "Can you help me?" There's no figure visible, no source, just open darkness and that pleading voice drifting in from the trees. Some viewers immediately thought of a classic piece of folklore, sometimes called the Dark Call, the idea that certain malevolent entities will lure people away from safety by mimicking distress, using familiar names or cries for help to draw someone deeper into the woods. Others think it's entirely possible a real person was out there, maybe someone from the abandoned trailer, a quarter-mile onto the land that he mentions people frequently break into. Skeptics have both explanations to choose from, but the fact that the voice knew his name is the part that's difficult to talk around. The following morning, he sat down and laid out the full context. Watch.
So last night was insane. I told you, look, I live on 300 acres of swampland. Just a little background for everybody. 300 acres of swampland. We bought it for a penny an acre from the paper mill that was here back in the 1800s. The paper mill stole it from the Native Americans. Everything that everything is built around out here is on top of Indian burial ground. So I'm not the only one to have had this experience. Other people have had these experiences. You could just talk to the local people here in Dinsmore. They've had the same experiences out here. In fact, it's so bad. Police officers will draw straws or argue about who has to come down here when something happens. My family used to be crazy. There used a lot of drinking, drug use, and, just abuse and stuff like that. So cops would be out here all the time, but they would not come on the property. They will only meet you at the end of the property. That's how fucking scary it is out here. So today we're going to investigate. I still think that crackheads wandered up from the property. It is about a quarter of a mile into the property, but that doesn't mean anything. We get crackheads, heroin addicts, whatever. They're the new crackheads, meth addicts, they're the new crackheads. We get them out here all the time trying to steal stuff because we used to run a business out here. So I'm going to investigate a trailer that's on the edge of the property today to see that they steal out of all the time. They stole the copper out of it. They busted the windows out of it. So we're going to go see inside that trailer if there's any evidence of anybody staying in it or anything like that. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Peace.
He describes the property as deeply haunted, says the paranormal activity is so severe that even seasoned local officers refuse to enter, and admits that his own first theory is that it might have been trespassers, possibly people staying in that abandoned trailer on the land. So that same day, he decided to go take a look.
Okay, so we are out here exactly where everybody said this thing was standing. This is the spot right here. Directly at this spot. There's the track. I see no footprints. So this is the exact spot right here, guys. The chickens in the background. So I don't know. This is in this area right here is where it was standing. Is where everybody said it was standing. I couldn't see it while standing just about over there. There we go. And so we keep this stuff like this locked. We keep stuff like this locked because, like I said, crackheads. Let's check to make sure it's locked. Door's locked. This is the trailer that I was worried about. Did you fucking see that, bro? Look, I'm telling. Okay, we're just gonna peek in. Oh my, what the fuck? There's walking around in this bro. Hello? So we're gonna have to climb in this. Probably should have brought my gun. Hello? That shit. Hold up. It's happening all around me right now. Like it's the worst that it's ever been.
The research context around Dinsmore notes that the area has a long history of paranormal folklore and unexplained phenomena, and the most famous incident dates back to 1897, suggesting that whatever people believe is out there has been talked about for well over a century. Whether the voice in the dark was a person, something mimicking one, or something else entirely that this land has carried since long before his family ever bought it, no one knows. But what do you think? This next video was recorded on January 4th of 2026 by a hospital security guard working a night shift on the second floor of a medical facility, a floor that houses the ICU and a family waiting area. He'd been called up earlier for an emergency, and once that was handled, he decided to walk back down the hall toward the hospital chapel, a room he'd heard about from co-workers who swore strange things happened there regularly, though he'd personally never witnessed anything himself, and that was about to change. Watch.
So, we are on the second floor now. Gotta be a little quiet up here because, so the ICU is actually right in front of me as family waiting. Hey, what's up, Richard? Hey. How you doing? And right to the right is he's right back in the room. Hold on. I was gonna say that right next to family waiting is the chapel. I was going to come in here anyway because people say that crazy things happen here all the time, but I've never experienced anything, so I figured why not try? And of course, nothing's happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit right here and just wait. Holy hell, that scared the hell out of me. Oh, my heart is racing. Is that my shadow? Do y'all see a shadow on the wall, or is that just me? Oh, I gotta get the hell up out of here. Shit done, like I'm sweating now.
After sharing the footage, the guard revealed another detail that immediately caught people's attention. Long before it became part of the ICU, that entire floor had reportedly served as the hospital's psychiatric ward. According to staff members, one story has circulated for years. Several employees have claimed that a young child occasionally appears in the corridor, approaching people with a simple question. "Will you play with me?" They also describe the child carrying, or asking for, a small red ball. The image of a ghostly child with a red ball has become one of the most enduring motifs in modern paranormal reports. Investigators often note that toys, especially brightly colored balls, are frequently associated with alleged child hauntings because they're commonly used during investigations as so-called trigger objects, items believed by some to encourage interaction. Whether that's because of expectation, coincidence, or something genuinely unexplained remains a matter of debate. BC others believe the legend may have grown over time, passed from one generation of hospital staff to the next, until every unexplained sound or glimpse in the hallway became linked to the same story. Still, hospitals have long been places where folklore thrives. Decades of intense emotion, grief, hope, and loss naturally give rise to stories that linger long after the people involved are gone. Whether the guard captured evidence of the child his co-workers had described, or simply experienced an eerie coincidence in an old hospital, one question remains. If you heard a child's voice asking you to play in an empty hospital corridor after midnight, would you answer? The following video was recorded inside a small frozen yogurt shop sometime after closing by a man who'd been dealing with unexplained activity in the building for a while. Flickering lights, strange sounds, the kind of persistent low-level strangeness that you can almost convince yourself to ignore until you can't anymore. On this particular night, he and a woman he works with were still inside after hours trying to retrieve her keys from the back room, and he decided to pull his phone out and film what was happening. He mentions, almost in disbelief, that the lights had already started flickering again, and this wasn't the first time.
Okay guys, we were literally just about to leave my store when shit just started flickering again. This is the second time it's happened. My car's over there, and
I'm shaking right now.
okay, and her keys are in the bag.
We need to go. We need to go get my keys.
And the light turned on.
I don't want to go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna literally record this whole thing just so you guys can see what happened. I'm literally so scared. Okay, okay, something. The bathroom light's on too.
It's like, bro, why are my keys on the floor? They were not there. Like, my dad put them on the desk. Like, oh my god. What the hell?
This is literally insane.
The crash erupts out of nowhere from somewhere deeper in the building. No visible source, no explanation, and what follows is pure chaos. Both of them sprinting toward the back office in a full panic. But then they find her keys lying on the floor. She's insistent that she left them on the desk, and the man confirms he didn't see them there either. That alone is unsettling. Displaced objects are one of the most commonly reported signs of poltergeist-type activity. The kind of presence that doesn't just make noise, but physically interacts with the environment, moving things deliberately, as if to be noticed. Then, it got worse. The second clip picks up shortly after, with the two of them still inside, watching the security monitors in the back office while the cameras around the store continue to flicker. They decide they need to leave. They're already nearly an hour past closing, and as they make their way toward the exit, something comes flying out of the darkness right past the camera. Watch.
Okay, guys, we've been sitting in the back for like 20 minutes now, and we're just watching the cameras, and stuff is still flickering and going on, but nothing happened back here, and we need to go home, and this is so freaking terrifying.
We're 50 minutes past our shift because of this shit.
We closed at 10, so we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it, stop it. Oh, fuck.
Okay, this is what I mean. This room is over. This is.
Oh my god.
This is what we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yo, what the bro, Nick, did you this on purpose?
No,
I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick.
Stop! You're literally. Are you?
No, wait, no. Nah.
No. We literally looked away for like 2 seconds.
You can see it cut through the frame before clattering off screen, and both of them bolt straight for the door. The nervous laughter outside is the kind that comes when you're too shaken to process what just happened any other way. But the most unsettling detail comes when he turns the camera back through the glass front door. 2 metal chairs that were upright moments earlier are now tipped over on the floor, and neither of them touched them. He says he only looked away for a few seconds. Poltergeist cases like this one tend to follow a pattern where the activity doesn't just repeat, it escalates, becoming more physical and more direct over time, as though whatever is present is testing how much it can do before someone finally leaves. He says he's planning to do an overnight stay to try to make contact. What do you think will happen if he does? This next video was recorded inside a family home using 2 mounted security cameras, one in a bedroom, one in the dining room, and the footage spans 2 separate dates in February of 2026, both captured in the early hours of the morning. In the bedroom clip, recorded just after 2 a.m., an older woman, a younger woman, and a child are all asleep, completely still. Nothing in the room is moving. Listen closely. A quiet, disembodied male-sounding voice is heard whispering a name, Naneng, into a room where everyone is asleep. Then in the dining room, footage recorded just after 5 a.m., the same kind of voice speaks again in an empty room, saying the name Len, seconds before a teenage girl walks out of a hallway door on her own. And back in the bedroom, at the exact same timestamp, the voice speaks once more, this time with what sounds like a questioning inflection, calling out while the entire family remains completely unconscious. So if you listen carefully, something is calling their names, and not one of them heard it. Now in this next clip, a man is walking through a large concrete drainage tunnel, the kind covered in graffiti, with a shallow stream running along the floor, when something in the darkness ahead stops him cold. He'd gone in alone, recording on his phone, moving through the echoing pipe with nothing but the ambient glow of his camera lighting the way. The tunnel stretched ahead of him, dark and narrow, and for a moment everything seemed quiet. Then, at around the 15-second mark, a sharp metallic clicking sound echoes out from somewhere deep in the darkness. He stops walking. He calls out, "Watch."
What the hell? Hello?
What answers him back isn't a person. A low, guttural sound, somewhere between a growl and a distorted whisper, rolls back through the tunnel in response to his voice. And then, as his eyes adjust to the darkness, you can make out the shape standing at the far end. Tall, impossibly thin, 2 points of white light where the eyes should be. The enhanced replay at the end makes it even harder to dismiss. The figure's limbs are long and spindly, its skin pale and gaunt, and it stands completely motionless right up until the moment it lunges and lets out a sustained, piercing shriek that sounds nothing like a human being. He runs. A lot of viewers immediately called it a crawler, a modern internet label for pale, thin, humanoid figures, reported in isolated tunnels and underground spaces, usually described by their unnatural proportions and the way they move. Others think the glowing eyes point to something else entirely, something that doesn't fit neatly into any category. Skeptics argue it could be a person with a torch, but that explanation gets harder to hold onto when you hear what came out of that tunnel. So what exactly was standing in the dark, waiting? The following video was recorded inside a 1920s home during the daytime, which, honestly, makes it harder to dismiss than most. The man filming had been upstairs watching TV when he heard a banging sound coming from the living room below. He says there's nobody else in the house. As he makes his way down the stairs and through the hallway, past taxidermy, Venetian masks, old framed pictures, and a crucifix on the wall, he mentions that some of his haunted objects from a previous home are now kept here, though nothing has ever happened with them. He calls out into the empty rooms, no response, just the steady ticking of a grandfather clock and the feeling that something is waiting. Watch.
It's banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here, but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh! Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa, I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I am getting out of here. What the hell?
Two events hit almost back to back. A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantel flaps its wings suddenly, then the door slams shut on its own with a heavy metallic crash. Then in the dining room, a chair is violently thrown backward across the floor. He screams. He's done. If you look at how quickly these events escalate, bird, door, chair, all within about a minute, it fits a pattern that paranormal researchers often describe as poltergeist behavior, where physical objects are moved or thrown with what seems like deliberate escalating force. The term poltergeist comes from the German for noisy ghost, and what makes these cases distinct is the physical aggression, not just shadows or sounds, but objects acting against gravity. Skeptics will say the taxidermy bird could be mechanical, that the door and chair could be rigged, but his reaction, the shaky hands, the swearing, the decision to just leave, that's difficult to fake convincingly. He even notes a second chair had shifted by the time he looked back. So what set it all off? Now in this next clip, a man is filming inside his home just 3 days after losing his brother Chris, and what you're about to witness isn't terrifying so much as it is deeply unsettling in a quiet, personal way. He's moving through a dimly lit room at night, emotional but calm, speaking directly to his brother's presence as if Chris might actually be listening. At one point, he stops the camera on a child's plastic toy kitchen set sitting against the wall, green and white, completely still. He asks softly, "Is that you, Chris? Do it again. Watch."
That's you, Chris. Do it again. I feel your presence, bro. I feel your presence. Do it again. Holy shitballs.
What did I miss?
The burner on the toy stove lights up with a flashing red glow and emits an electronic sizzling sound. Then, after it goes quiet, he says it again. Do it again, and the toy activates a second time, this time playing a completely different sound sequence. Many people who've experienced grief report moments exactly like this one, where an object associated with family or routine seems to respond at just the right moment. Others think the timing is too precise to dismiss. You decide. This next video was recorded inside a cluttered garage, filmed by a man who had been about to lock up for the night when something stopped him. He claims that just before he started recording, he heard a laugh coming from the back of the garage. Not a voice, not a knock, but a laugh. And he describes it as the most unnerving, weird laugh he's ever heard, seeming to come from somewhere near one of the riding mowers. So instead of leaving, he pulled out his phone and started moving through the space, sweeping the light across the concrete floor, the shelves, the equipment, trying to find any explanation for what he'd just heard. He hadn't found anything yet. Watch.
Alright, so I was just closing this up.
like just locking it up to head out. And I closed the bay, and I was closing this door. I shut the lights off, getting ready to close this door, and heard, I swear, I heard a laugh. And it was the most unnerving, and it was such a weird laugh. It sounded like it was coming from that back mower, like something was sitting on that back mower. I should have just left. I should have left it alone. I don't even know what that was, where it came from, where it went. But I'm not sticking around to find out, so I'm out of here. Screw this. I'm out of here. I am not sticking around.
A sudden, sharp metallic crash explodes off-screen with enough force to make him physically flinch, and when he swings the light toward the source, there's nothing there. No fallen object, no obvious cause, nothing on the floor that wasn't there before. His voice afterward is shaky, and you can hear him repeating that he should have just left, that he doesn't know where the sound came from or where it went. Some think residual energy in cluttered, closed-off spaces can build tension and release it violently, almost like pressure finding an outlet. And the laugh he heard before he even started filming, that detail is hard to shake. What exactly was waiting for him in that garage? This next clip was recorded by a woman at night, sitting in her car, describing something she'd witnessed inside her home. And what makes it so hard to dismiss is the detail she kept coming back to. She explains that on the same day she played Surah al-Baqarah, one of the most protective recitations in Islamic tradition, through the house, she passed by her children's room and noticed one of the toys doing something she couldn't explain. Her daughter's Peppa Pig stuffed toy lying on the bed. Watch.
I put Baqarah on my house. That same day, I am like just passing by my kid's room, and basically I see one of the toys doing this. Now, when I first saw it, I thought, are you really seeing things? Because ain't no way that thing is moving its eyes. There is no way it's moving its eyes. Does that make sense? No, it does not. This is your child's little toy that they always love and sleep with. My daughter loves it. That thing is her life, okay? My daughter and that monkey chump are the same. She loves that little toy. So I'm like, ain't no way. It has to be my eyes. So I'm looking at it. My son comes. He's also looking at it. Both of us are like looking at each other. We're like, oh, I don't know. Let's use the camera. And then we use the camera and we see for our eyes. First time in real life, this toy was moving its eyes. What could it be? What do you guys think it is? Do you think it's jinn?
If you look closely, the toy's plastic eye slowly rotates upward, turning, according to her, to look directly at the camera. She says she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her at first, so she called her son over, and both of them stood there watching it together before deciding to film it. Many in the Muslim community watching this immediately pointed to jinn, supernatural beings described in Islamic tradition as created from smokeless fire, capable of inhabiting objects, invisible to the naked eye, but very much present. Jinn aren't considered innately evil, but certain ones are believed to attach to children's belongings specifically. She ends the clip asking the audience the same question she still can't answer herself. What do you think it is? The following video was recorded somewhere beneath what appears to be an abandoned industrial building. No voices, no footsteps, no sound at all. Just the slow drift of the lens through deep shadow, past a low brick wall, and down a long corridor, toward a faint greenish light in the far distance. Nothing seemed out of place at first. Watch.
Is your name Leroy? Dude, I just heard something from like another room. I heard something back that way. Dude, you hear that talk? Did you hear that? I hear a man's voice. Somebody might have called us here, dude. Ooh, what was that? Ooh, what was that?
There, between two of the support pillars, a tall, slender shape stands completely still, dark, undefined, blending almost entirely into the surrounding blackness. If you look closely, you'll notice it has a distinctly humanoid silhouette, but no discernible features whatsoever. Some viewers think it's a shadow person, a type of entity described across dozens of independent accounts as a tall, featureless, dark presence that appears briefly and then simply vanishes. Others think it's pareidolia, the brain forcing a human shape out of low-light geometry, and the footage is ambiguous enough that neither explanation fully wins. Now, in this next clip, a demolition crew in Adelaide, South Australia, was tearing down the old Royal Adelaide Hospital when one of them started noticing things that didn't quite fit the job. The building had already been stripped back, corridors cluttered with debris bags, walls scarred from demolition work, the kind of place that feels emptied out but somehow not quite vacant. A friend of the filmer was part of the crew and captured this footage on a handheld camera, pointing down one of the dimly lit hallways toward a set of double doors, one of them covered with a semi-transparent plastic sheet. Something behind that plastic catches the eye immediately. Watch.
And there's no cunt behind there, right?
I was staring there the whole
Yeah, fuck. It's gotta be some reason for it, eh? What are all these?
There's no one walking past that door. That's me,
Yeah, let's see.
Hey?
No, it's there again, dude. I'm filming it, eh? You alright, mate?
Oh, Kim was right.
Last time I was standing here by myself. Wouldn't you just freak, eh?
Yeah, I did. That's why.
I thought it was like someone joking around.
No, I'm glad I did that.
Oh!
Why is it just above that line?
Can you explain that? There's no one behind there. What the f? Doesn't make any sense, man.
And look at all this shit, like, in the air.
Looks like I see an arm going across that just now.
Behind the sheeting, a dark, amorphous shadow moves from right to left. Subtle, but there. Then a second shape appears, slightly more defined, holding position on the left side of the door. When the man in the full orange hazmat suit walks down the corridor to check what's behind the door, he finds nothing. The room on the other side, according to the footage, was an operating room, and it was empty. What makes this harder to dismiss is that the Royal Adelaide Hospital had been associated with paranormal reports for years before demolition even began, with staff and visitors describing strange shadows and unexplained figures throughout the building. Some believe that spirits tied to places of suffering, death, and trauma don't simply leave when the walls come down, and that the demolition itself may have stirred something. Where do you think they go when the building is finally gone? This next video was recorded inside what appears to be a long, dark hallway at nighttime, a corridor lined with wood-paneled walls and repeating archways that recede deeper and deeper into shadow, the kind of space that already feels wrong before anything happens in it. The artificial overhead lighting casts a warm, yellowish glow along the upper walls, but the far end of the hallway stays completely dark, like whatever's down there isn't meant to be seen. No one filmed this. No one was standing at the other end. Watch. Just beyond the first archway, a faint whitish-gray mist drifts smoothly from right to left across the corridor and vanishes into the shadows in under 2 seconds. Some viewers think it's a dust particle or lens artifact, and with footage this blurred, that's genuinely hard to rule out. Others believe it's something else entirely. What do you think was moving through that hallway? In this next video, a father had been growing increasingly concerned about his young daughter's behavior. At first, it seemed harmless enough. Like many children her age, she would spend long periods talking to someone nobody else could see, pausing as if she were listening to responses, laughing at jokes that no one had told, and occasionally looking toward empty corners of the room as though another child were standing there with her. Naturally, her father assumed it was an imaginary friend, until it stopped being a case of a child talking to something invisible. It became a case of something responding. Watch.
Miren hasta el final. Esto es una cosa muy loca lo que pasa acá, cerca de mi barrio, a la vuelta de mi casa. Bueno, mi hija se ve que tiene una amiga invisible porque... Ustedes miren. Vaya, decirle que traiga el coche. Decirle que traiga el coche, decirle. Le dice que traiga el coche.
¡Dale el coche!
No. In the video, the father challenges the situation directly. He asks his daughter to tell her imaginary friend to move the walker, and it did. One of the oldest paranormal beliefs surrounding children is the idea that they may be more sensitive to things adults no longer notice. Across countless cultures, there are stories claiming that young children can see spirits, entities, or presences that become inaccessible as people grow older. Whether that's folklore, superstition, or something else entirely is impossible to prove, but stories like this continue to fuel the belief. Some viewers suggested the child may have unknowingly formed a connection with a spirit. Others went much further, warning that not everything presenting itself as a child's friend has good intentions. What do you think? The following video was captured by a man doing what appears to be a late-night walkthrough of an empty industrial building. Service corridors, loading bays, the kind of place that feels unsettling even when nothing's happening. He moves through a series of narrow hallways, lit by fluorescent overhead lights, past recycling signs and yellow safety markings, before pushing through a plastic strip curtain into a vast, dimly lit loading dock below. Concrete pillars, orange industrial lights, long shadows stretching across the floor. The space is completely deserted, and from the moment the clip begins, there's already something deeply wrong, because a loud, continuous, high-pitched alarm tone is ringing out through the entire area with no clear origin. He pans the camera across the empty dock, taking in the loading bays and the grimy walls, and you can feel the tension building. Watch.
Oh, shit.
Who's there?
He still hasn't gotten over that scream, and from the look of things, something knew he was there and reacted. Liminal spaces like loading docks and service corridors have developed their own folklore online in recent years, described as places that exist between destinations, spaces no one is supposed to linger in, and that in some accounts are thought to attract residual energy or presences tied to the labor and isolation those spaces carry. The second clip takes that atmosphere even further. The person filming moves through another service corridor in what appears to be the same building, pulling aside a mold-stained plastic curtain before walking slowly down a narrow passage with concrete walls and warm yellow overhead light. Listen closely. If you look at the top right corner, you'll see a humanoid figure hanging. After he shared the footage, many people immediately connected the figure to the scream captured earlier. Some speculated that whatever produced that sound may have been the same presence now appearing in the corridor. Of course, skeptics argue that the figure could be an illusion created by shadows, pipes, hanging material, or the low image quality of the footage. But for those who believe the scream and the figure are connected, that's a difficult explanation to accept. Now in this next clip, a man is working the night shift alone at a dark industrial factory, his first night on the job, when something stops him cold in one of the long corridors. He's moving through the building with a flashlight, checking doors, narrating to himself the way people do when they're trying not to feel uneasy about being completely alone in a space that large. You can hear it in his voice, that thin attempt at casual conversation with no one in particular. He makes his way down a long, empty hallway, concrete floor, exposed beams above, sparse lights doing almost nothing against the dark, and announces out loud that he's there by himself. Watch.
One more door. Yeah, this one's heavy. I'm here, all by myself.
At the far end of the hallway, a figure with long, dark hair briefly peeks around the corner, just for a moment. What makes the sighting so unsettling is the timing. The figure appears immediately after he acknowledges that he's alone, almost as though something heard him and decided to respond. Whether that's coincidence or not, it's the detail that viewers keep coming back to. Many people compared the figure to one of the most common apparitions reported in industrial locations and abandoned buildings, the peeking ghost. Unlike full-bodied apparitions that stand openly in view, these sightings are often described as figures that watch from doorways, corners, stairwells, and hallways, revealing only part of themselves before quickly retreating from sight. Factories can be especially fertile ground for stories like these. Decades of accidents, overnight shifts, injuries, and constant human activity often leave behind local legends among workers. In many places, night shift employees pass down stories about figures seen in corridors, shadows standing near machinery, or unexplained encounters that only seem to happen after everyone else has gone home. Now, in this next clip, a man is spending a quiet night at home with his young son, the kind of ordinary evening where the biggest concern should be which action figure wins the fight. But something on the porch keeps pulling his attention back, and when it happens a second time, with his son sitting right there in the room, he doesn't hesitate for a second. Watch.
Se movió la silla. No mames. Hijo. Vente. Salte. ¿Ahí estás, hijo? Sí. Te voy a echarte un ojito, papi. Quiero jugar contigo. Pero se pelean, papi. Sí. Ay, no. A ver. ¿Quién es el superhéroe y quién es el villano? Cuéntame, porque yo no sé.
Mira, este es el superhéroe. Y este es el villano.
No mames. No mames, viste. Vete para acá, hazte para acá. Se movió. Se movió la silla. No mames. Hijo. Vente. Salte. Vámonos. Salte. Mierda. No mames. ¿Qué pedo? Vente, hijo. Vente. Agarra tus cosas. Vámonos de aquí. Vámonos, vete por la casa. Ahorita jugamos acá adentro, ¿sí? Es que se movieron las cosas. Métete, papi. Métete.
A white metal rocking chair on the porch begins moving on its own. No breeze, no one nearby, nothing physically touching it. The man grabs his son and gets him out immediately. Some viewers immediately pointed to a poltergeist-type presence, entities associated with kinetic disturbances, objects moving without contact, often described as being drawn to spaces where children are present. Others weren't ready to go that far, arguing the chair could have been disturbed by uneven flooring or a vibration from inside the house. But if you watch the second movement closely, the chair doesn't drift or wobble. It pushes forward with force at a moment when the house is otherwise completely still. What's harder to dismiss is the pattern, the same object, the same location, twice in one night, and both times right when the man and his son were nearby. Whether something in that house was reacting to them or simply didn't want them there is a question the father clearly couldn't wait around to answer. In the following video recorded late one night, in France, a man pulls out his phone to film his kitchen because this isn't the first time something strange has happened here, and he wants it on record. Speaking calmly in French, he points out a drawer that's already sitting open on its own, notes that his small black dog is hiding under the dining table, and confirms out loud that he's completely alone. Then he does something that takes either courage or desperation. He asks directly for whatever is there to show itself. Watch.
Donc voilà, je refais une vidéo parce que il se passe encore des phénomènes, comme vous pouvez le voir. Il y a le tiroir qui s'est ouvert tout seul. Vous pouvez vous constater, je suis tout seul. Il y a juste le chien qui est effrayé en dessous de la table. Sinon, je suis absolument tout seul. Donc, est-ce que vous pouvez vous manifester, s'il vous plaît? Ok. Est-ce que vous pouvez vous dire ce que... Oh putain, je calme. Je ne vous veux aucun mal. Oh, vache. Ok, je repasse.
The upper cabinet door swings open on its own the moment he finishes asking, as if something actually heard him. Before he can even process it, two metal shakers are violently hurled from near the refrigerator and clatter hard across the linoleum floor. He manages a stunned, okay, starts to ask a follow-up question, and then a pepper grinder crashes off the dining table, followed immediately by an entire wooden chair being knocked backwards onto the floor. You can hear his voice go from measured to genuinely frightened in under 30 seconds. His dog never moved from under the table. What makes this so hard to dismiss is the sequence, not one random event, but 4 separate disturbances in under a minute, each one more forceful than the last. That kind of escalating pattern is what investigators often associate with poltergeist activity, a word that comes from German meaning noisy ghost, typically described not as a traditional spirit, but as a concentrated burst of energy capable of physically interacting with the environment. Some believe it attaches to people rather than places, which would explain why he mentions this isn't even his first video. Others think the moment he issued that invitation, asking it to manifest, he changed the nature of the interaction entirely. Whether that was brave or reckless, only he can say.